Welcome to day 2 of the Optimize Your Online Business Live Summit. We are so happy to have all of you here and to introduce Cherise Floyd Thompson, or Reese as she goes by. Reese is the founder of Witness My Life, a communications and messaging firm representing nonprofits, faith communities, and socially driven private companies and entrepreneurs. She's also the creator of Break the Glass Society, which trains and teaches women how to become leaders using the lessons of their story, which is very powerful. Her emotional branding style and storytelling skills have aided in companies making billions of dollars. Cherise is dedicated to teaching people how to use stories to unite people around a cause and to influence behaviors that move people to action. And that is what stories do. That's why they're so powerful. She's an advocate for social change and believes story is the one thing that truly brings the world together. And as a TEDx speaker and coach, she helps aspiring speakers craft signature messages that impact the world. Her TEDx, The Secret to Healing the World, was awarded a Cicero Speechwriting Award. Cherise is a contributing author to Entrepreneurial magazine. Her work has been featured or quoted in Blavity, YFS magazine, Forbes, The Huffington Post, Inside Business, Cova Biz, and Coastal Virginia magazine. She's also a Women in Business honoree named by Inside Business. So those are some impressive credentials, Reese. Welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so honored to talk to you this morning.
Great. So let's kick it off, Reese, and tell us about this concept of how to align your purpose with your paycheck.
Yes, as it was just mentioned, I'm a storyteller. So everything that I do is around the concept of in purpose in its bigger context, is knowing why you're on the planet. And what I have found throughout my work and my own life is that when we align who we are at the core with the work that we do, then the paycheck that comes on the other side of it is usually bigger and more fulfilling, and it's not, it's less work versus you're not actually selling anything, you're just being yourself. So purpose is really about the idea of what it is that you're intending to do. And it doesn't have to be the purpose as basic as what is your next intent, the purpose of that. And when you're operating in that purpose, the paycheck, again, that you receive becomes very different and much more rewarding to what you're doing.
Yeah, I love that. And, the description you gave of this presentation, which is under this video, is really poignant. And one of the things you say is that purpose gets a bad rap in the entrepreneurial space. Can you tell us what you mean by that?
Yeah, if we spend any time, especially in this online space, we have anyone that's talking about purpose and passion, they get moved over into this woo crowd. So you've got your serious business owners, and then you have your woo crowd. Well, it's really unfair to label people whenever you hear that word purpose into something that's woo, because woo, it has a negative connotation to it. So it's really anyone who comes into business who is not specifically motivated by money, but even if you are, that's still some sort of purpose. All of us are coming in to do something. And again, purpose in its most basic form is just about intent. So, obviously, no pun intended, those of us who make a point of saying that we are socially driven or purpose driven, we usually get that label, which kind of bumps us down to being less than those who are somewhat serious or perceived to be serious, more serious.
Yeah, that is an interesting concept, and I wanted to I've got another question for you about, how things are in flux. But before we go into that, can you give us some ideas on, like how does someone define their own purpose? Like, is there like a big purpose, and then are there sub purposes? Like, how do they really kind of get clarity around that?
I love this question. And it's really, really simple answer to it. Anytime, I like to say, if you show me your pain, I can show you your purpose. Our purpose is really born out of whatever pain that we have gone through, that we've experienced. And that's the beauty of when you're telling your story, like you get to go through your life and dig through your joys, your highs, your lows, all the things. But when you have something that has hurt you or has devastated you or has changed the very nature of your being, more often than not, your purpose is born out of that. And one of the ways, and I'm sure we'll get into it as we go deeper, but I'll say it here now, is that I often ask people, tell me an experience that you have gone through that you don't want anyone else to experience. That automatically sets you up to go into your story. What have you gone through that has hurt you that you really don't want anyone else to go through? And that allows you to build programs, to build services, to build businesses around that idea, because now you have set up the problem solution dynamic that is needed in business in order for any of us to succeed. So you can have a big hurt that you've gone through that now you're solving that problem. Or again, it can be something small. Even if you have a business that, this is the age of getting everything organized. You may have found that one day you could not find that second match to your sock. That's a pain for you. And you're like, gosh darn it, I'm going to create an organization business because this is not okay. So you show me your pain, and the purpose is usually somewhere tied into that because you're creating something, a solution for the thing that you don't want anyone else to go through.
Yeah, that's awesome. What I love is that you're talking about not only big purpose, but little things that are purpose. I love that because I think aside from purpose getting a bad rap, a lot of times purpose seems so all encompassing and people feel like maybe they don't measure up, like they aren't enough to have a purpose. But the way you're explaining it and the way I believe it too, is that your purpose can be, your next decision. I love the way that you're explaining that to us today.
Yeah, because we can get lost in those big things that seem overwhelming to us, but just taking it in small bite-sized pieces. Like, we all had a purpose this morning, which was to come here and do this for the audience to make sure that they got something that they could use and value, for their lives. And so we are in the midst of something that's purpose-driven right now. What is the pain? We have entrepreneurs and online business owners who want to expand in their business and they're missing just a piece of information. Maybe they will get it out of this presentation. Maybe they will get it out of the other presentations, but you're still facilitating. What can you do to help someone else get to their next level?
Yeah, that is awesome.
That is. So, right now, well, everything is in flux all the time, in the world and in the marketplace, but, especially during this pandemic, it's been even more so. So do you have any advice for entrepreneurs who might be struggling with all of the changes that are happening and all of the uncertainties?
Absolutely. It's been so challenging for all of us, even if you're not an entrepreneur. We're seeing it in the employee space as well. But for entrepreneurs, we've had to pivot, to to change direction, to do all of the, to spin, to close, to whatever, to make it work when you know that you have something that you need to put into the world. And so this idea of connecting your purpose to your paycheck is really about staying grounded to who you are. And so my advice that I give, it's 3 questions that I always like to be guided by when there is any kind of change that is going on, and particularly in the entrepreneur space and around the purpose paycheck dynamic. One, we've already talked about. What are you going through right now that you don't want anyone else to experience? There has been entrepreneurs who have changed their whole business dynamic because of the pandemic. Now they have a new set of pains that they're trying to help people with, new business ideas that came out of this pandemic, because it sets up that problem solution dynamic. You also want to focus on what it is that you want to be known for, because this pandemic has really, there's no one who hasn't been touched by it. We all know someone who has probably perished from it. And it really about our mortality and caused us to think about the footprint that we're leaving on the world. So what do you want to be known for? And then also helps you decide, what are you going to show up for? What are the things that you're going to say yes to? If you're not in the room, what do you want people? What do you want to be known for? And then the last thing is, what does the world lose if we don't know your story? And that is about the legacy. And again, the pandemic has forced us to think about who we are as people and our mortality. So what if today was the last day, was my last day? What is it that the world would lose if I did not share my story? And I find that in those 3 questions, it really does help us get grounded. And then whatever change that is happening around us, we can always go back to that and know who we are, know what we're here to produce, and then that we make that happen.
Yeah, that is awesome. I love that. Those questions are so powerful. And so when you work with someone, so story to me is something that can be really big and intimidating, like the word purpose, right? Like humans are natural storytellers, but then when you think about doing it and using your story in a way to make it resonate with others, that seems really scary. So can you kind of describe what your process is when you work with people?
Yeah. It's funny. It does seem scary, but it's so simple. And I always tell people, first of all, there's no right or wrong way to tell a story. So release yourself from the fact that it has to be perfect and it has to be right. The only thing that you're really trying to do when you tell your story is know what the goal is and know why you're telling the story, because that will guide the details that you share. What is the outcome that you're trying to get people to reach? Are you lingering in details that have nothing to do with the outcome? So you want to make sure you have the goal and you have the why. And then it's just a matter of understanding that when you're telling a story, what you're really doing is making an emotion to emotion match. So you can be in front of an audience of people who have never had your life experience. They are completely on the other side of the world in terms of what you know and what they know. But we all know universal human emotion. And so you can tell a story of adversity. Someone in the audience can make that emotional match with you. That empathy, that gateway, once you open up that love potion, you can lead people to the next goal. It's always about understanding that it's going to be the emotion that drives the next action. And so it's much easier than yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. A couple things that you say, align with the way Deidre and I work too. Like you go inside and you ask those questions that are deep, and it helps people align or find their values and know what is true for them, and that is so important. We're all about values and validation and relationship marketing. And this whole summit is kind of about relationship marketing and story, and being able to connect on the human level. And so deeply, the way that you're explaining it is so powerful. And every single presentation here today and yesterday is going to give you a nugget that you can take with you and help grow your business. So, we want you guys to drop your questions in the comments. We will make sure that all the speakers get the questions and get them answered. And we'll continue this conversation here in a minute, but I just want to remind everyone too, that if you want to dive deeper into the power of story, Reese's offering her personal stories that sell, which is a $500 value, as part of the VIP pass that's only $77. So the link is under this video. It's a no-brainer because the value of the course and the cost of the ticket don't even match up. So you're getting a killer deal. And then if you want to go through and learn more about what Reese does and how she teaches and go through the Story Attraction Method podcast for free, the link is below this video as well. But yeah, we still have a few minutes, Reese. If there's anything else you want to let people know or that you would love for them to walk away with today, that'd be great.
Yeah, I just, okay, you're giving me a chance to get on my soapbox. So let me stand up tall on. I'll just go back to the themes that we've already touched on, which is humans, we never know when that time is coming. We have the most incredible marketing tool that we could ever have, which is our story. And I know we're talking in the context of business, but even if you do not use it in your business, you still have a personal brand that you are living every day. Your story is the one thing that you own that can never be duplicated, that no one can ever take away from you. It is recession proof. It is algorithm proof. It is comparison proof. It is all the things, because people pay for the beauty and the power of the story. So if you do not know what your story is, or if you have not to pull that out of you, now is the time. We don't know when this pandemic is going to be over. It probably might not ever be over, but don't get to a place where you don't even know how great you are because you haven't explored that you've made, all the things that you have gone through and overcome. So I would just say, now is the time for you to become the greatest story ever told, and do not wait one more moment to get that done. I'm stepping down now.
That was awesome. Deidre, do you have any other questions for Reese?
No, I can't think of another question other than, well, actually, yes, I can think of one. So if somebody wanted to, start right now, could you give them that first step or two? Should they sit and, brainstorm, journal? Is there a method that they can use in order to get started getting their story put together and out there?
Yes. So the first thing that I would do is set the primer, which is go through the 3 questions that we've already discussed. What is an experience you don't want anyone to have? What do you want to be known for? And what does the world lose if we don't hear your story? First, you want to go through that. As an entrepreneur, I want you to think about the clients that you've had. What has been the thing that they have said to you around what you do? Meaning whatever outcome that you provide for them, how has the client articulated that? What usually happens is that whatever your client says to you is related to some experience that you have had in your life that has led you now to be able to provide the service. And if you really look at it, your clients will absolutely tell you what your true purpose is, the more that they give you feedback on who you are. Then from there, I want you to take two things. I want you to think of a defining moment in your life and think of the real why that you are in business. So a defining moment is something has happened to you that you can absolutely draw a line between the person you were before and the person that you were after. Then when you think of the why, you want to think of what is the real reason you're in business, not the why, the surface level, which we all say we want to make money. We want to go under that until you hit an emotional center. If your why doesn't make you cry, it's not big enough. So when you hit an emotional center of the reason that you're truly, truly in business, that defining moment and that true why will always correlate. When you hit those two things that say, okay, I am in business because, just an example of an empowerment coach that I just worked with, she saw all the men in her family making decisions for all of the women. The women around her didn't have financial stability, so they were always at the mercy of the men. So now she is an empowerment coach because of that. So you have the defining moment and then you have a why. When those two things come together, you have the beginning of an origin story that you can tell to now facilitate drawing in people who will be attracted to why you do business the way that you do it.
Oh, that's perfect. That is so helpful, and that is fantastic. And it's a different way to look at it. And like Carmen said, I love those questions because that is how we get clarity. When you're not clear, always ask someone else the question or ask yourself the question.
Yeah. And yes. I love, if your why doesn't make you cry, then you haven't hit it yet. That is gold right there. So everybody better be asking why until they cry today. That's what I say. That was excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much, Reese, for giving us so graciously of your time and your expertise. It's been fabulous. And I hope everyone's getting a lot out of it. You've dropped absolute gold here. Everyone's got the links to be able to go further with Reese. And I hope that you all take advantage of it because this is a special deal. And now's the time to get your story nailed down so that, just like Reese talked about, our story is recession proof, it's algorithm proof, it's competitor proof, right? No one else can take your story. That is the power of that. And I actually never thought of it that way. So Reese, you've like opened my eyes, and I'm sure Deirdre as well, to so many different ways of looking at it. So it's been great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we'll see you guys in about half an hour for Dara Sklar with Google Tools for the win. Bye, everyone.